Good morning, and welcome to Redeemer Lutheran Church. I'm Pastor Gary Lodeholt. In the year 2000, I was given a free trip to Israel. One of my church members at the time was a member of the Knights Templar, and 1,000 years ago that organization existed to provide safe passage for pilgrims on the way to Jerusalem. In more recent years, their mission has changed, and now they provide trips to the Holy Land for pastors. I had never really had much desire to leave my family or to go to Israel, but my member insisted, and they covered airfare, food, lodging, the tour guide, everything except what I might want to spend on souvenirs. So I couldn't say no, and I bought a new camera and lots of film and headed to the airport. I'm telling you all this because it's fresh in my mind. Here at Redeemer, our senior citizen group asked me to show some of my slides from the trip to Israel, and so I have been getting that together and reviewing my notes from the trip. As I did that, I realized that while I planned to tell them much that I saw and learned, there's even more. Some of the smaller insights and learnings that I didn't cover in my presentation. And I decided that I would share some of those things this week. So I invite you along on this journey to the Holy Ground and to learn some insights from Israel that I first encountered a little over 20 years ago. Let's begin our tour in a place called Chorazim. It's just to the north of the Sea of Galilee, just a few miles from Capernaum, and so it was a place where much of Jesus' mission and teaching happened. While we were there, one of the things we saw was the remains of a ritual bath. You might remember that the Jews were pretty big on things being clean and unclean. There were rules about washing hands and feet and bodies and food and more. What I learned was that most observant Jews would use this ritual bath once a week to prepare for the Sabbath. Their outward show of cleanliness related to their hope for inward cleanliness before God. What was most interesting, however, was that these baths couldn't be comprised of just any water. No, for them to be ritually clean, the water had to be what they called living water. That means that the water had to have flow or life to it. So often these ritual baths were associated with a spring, or they could collect rainwater to fill these baths. The flow or movement was important and implied the movement of the Spirit of God in the water. John the Baptist adapted the practice of these ritual baths to spiritual cleansing and began to baptize people in the Jordan River. That was the natural place to do that, since the water had flow to it. Later, Jesus talks about himself as the living water, and we believe he meant much the same thing, that the movement of God's Spirit was active in Jesus himself. Late on that same day, we were given an opportunity to participate in a reforestation project in Israel. While we were there planting trees in memory or in honor of someone, we learned that the Talmud, part of the Jewish scriptures, rules that when the Messiah comes, everyone is supposed to stop what they are doing and welcome him, except for those who are planting trees. They are to finish planting the tree first, and then go and greet the Messiah. Why is that significant? Well, in Genesis, one of the things God creates and gives us is our vocation. And it's spelled out very clearly. We are to tend to the earth and keep it. What that means is that our care for creation is an important part of our relationship with God, and perhaps we don't give that enough focus or attention nowadays. However, if you are actively engaged in that, if you are planting trees, for example, it is so important that you are instructed to delay greeting the Messiah in order to finish your task. Perhaps that's a call to us to renew our God-given vocation that we all share to care for creation in greater ways. Thanks for watching, and remember to let this day belong to God.